Hey, so you're looking at getting a new Tesla, whether or not it's new to you or brand new from the factory. Well, there's a lot of things you need to know, and I know you've come here looking for some answers, and believe me, we do have some answers for you. There's a lot to know about having a Tesla because it's unlike every other vehicle that you've ever bought, and there's some unique things that you really need to know about. Everything from what to look at on the outside to what to look for on the inside, we are gonna cover a lot in these videos. We're starting off a series of videos that's gonna help you to purchase and maintain a brand new Tesla or used from a dealership, and we're going to show you how to get the best prices on this particular vehicle. This is going to apply to Model 3s, Model Ys, X's, S's, Cybertrucks, it doesn't matter. So a lot of this is going to be generic to all of the Teslas. So watch the entire video all the way through because we're covering everything from the exterior to the interior to the infotainment, service menus, the whole deal. And it's extremely important in certain sections that you pay attention because if you pick unwisely, it could cost you thousands of dollars. And so, well, that's why we're here to help you out. So look in the description below to see how you can get a great discount on a brand new Tesla up to $1,000 off or 30 days of full self-driving for free. Use my referral code, like and subscribe. I'll see you back in just a moment. Welcome back. So you want to buy your Model 3, your Model Y, whichever car it happens to be. Here we have a Model Y Juniper 2026 model. It doesn't matter what version of vehicle that you're buying, whether or not it's Model 3, Model Y, it just doesn't matter. A lot of these tips are going to be pretty much the same because, believe it or not, most Teslas have a lot of things in common. And so a lot of this is going to transfer from vehicle to vehicle. So just stick with me and we're going to show you around. The first thing you want to do, you want to do a general walk around to make sure there's no big glaring things like big scratches. There shouldn't be, especially if you're buying a new vehicle. But if you're buying a used vehicle, there may be minor scratches all over the vehicle in certain spots, things of that nature. When you come to the front of the vehicle, however, one of the things you want to make sure of is this gap right here that's in between the hood and the headlight. Make sure, number one, the hood is actually in line with the rest of the panel, and this gap is pretty much equal to the gap that's on the other side as well. We call these panel gaps, and especially older Teslas have been prone to having quite a few panel gaps in them, and the manufacturers have got to adjust them. I want to call it a defect, but it's not a game killer, okay? It doesn't stop the show, okay? But just notice that it is a thing. So sometimes you'll have a panel gap that's a little bit wider on one side than it is other. The vehicles that are more prone to this are basically the 2019s through the 2022 models. After that, Tesla kind of got on the ball and the vehicles started getting a little bit better. But we want to definitely look at the panel gaps. So when you come to the front of the car, you want to take a good look at the grille and the front portion. And what you're looking for is any kind of damage that may be down here in the grille, because believe it or not, you do have a radiator back there, and that's primarily for the cooling system on the vehicle. So you just want to make sure in general that it is not damaged. For the newer vehicles, you're going to notice you have a camera right down here on the front. And we're basically talking 2024 plus. On some of the newer Model 3 Highlands, you'll have a camera down there. On the Model Y Junipers, you'll have a camera. But bottom line is you want to make sure that it's not damaged. It's securely in place there. It's not going to go anywhere, and there's no other damage. On the front part of the Frunk here, you're going to want to open the Frunk. So mine's is a little bit different. I have an automatic Frunk installed on mine, but you want to be able to open up the Frunk, and I'll tell you why. You want to be able to come in here and make sure that everything is in good working order. Okay, so I have a mat in this Frunk in the Model Y. So most times you won't have that. So you just want to check out the Frunk, make sure nothing's cracked down here. One of the things you want to make sure of that you have this panel that's at the front part of the vehicle. The newer Model Ys don't have this panel, but all of the older vehicles do. This is your tow bar. This should be present. If this is not present, then somebody took it. It should be there, okay? You have an emergency button there. So you definitely want to check that out. You have a fascia up here. This should be nice and clean. This whole panel should be flush. If it's not flush, that means there's a clip that's broken or it's not sitting in there properly. And we'll talk more about that in another video as to what's underneath there and all the things you need to check out under there, okay? Coming from the front, we're coming down to this round circle down here. This round circle is basically on all Teslas except the Cybertruck. It's in a different spot on the Cybertruck. But effectively what that is, number one, that's where that black tow bar goes in case you break down. That's how the vehicle is going to be pulled up onto a trailer because there's no place for a tow truck to put its hooks into. They'll put it into that, okay? The second thing that's in there are your leads for your frunk in case you lose power in the vehicle. So make sure that is on there. It should be secure. If it's not there, try to get them to put one there because you don't want that exposed, okay? All right, let's come along to the front wheel well area here. Once again, we're checking out panel gaps right here on the side. This should be nice and tight. It shouldn't have a huge gap. Same thing goes with the fascia that's along the wheel here. And this part should be clean, should be free of scratches and things of that nature. The tire and the wheels. Teslas are notorious for having wheel rash. In fact, you can see where I have some here that's on the side of my wheel that's been damaged. I can't imagine who damaged my wheels. So yeah, Teslas are notorious for having wheel rash. As they touch curbs, they really get damaged very easily. Don't let that deter you too much, but just know that it is a thing. The tires themselves should be in fairly good condition. This black trim piece should be firmly attached, especially to the rocker panels that are down low. You'll see these clips that are down here at the bottom. Make sure those clips are in because as you'll see later, if you don't have those clips in, this rocker panel tends to sag. So you just want to make sure that is in there and that's firmly attached. You come up to the side camera here, make sure this camera housing is on here firmly and that it's not hanging loose. Make sure the camera is not damaged and it's clean. Once again, we're looking for our panel door gaps. Make sure that it's pretty uniform all the way around. You also want to come up to the mirror here. Now you'll notice that my mirrors are actually folded in at the moment, which is not a bad thing because you want to actually fold the mirrors in when you get in the vehicle. Make sure your mirrors fold. And I include this on the new vehicles as well because people have gotten their vehicles home and they notice their mirrors weren't folding for whatever reason. One would fold, the other would not, things of that nature. So it's one of those things that you do need to check for. As you go along the trim, door handle should be flush. Once again, panel gaps all the way down the door. So when you come over to the driver's side door, make sure you not only check the door gaps that are here, but you want to also come up to the camera to make sure that the camera doesn't have any scratches on it and that it's clear because that could affect your full self-driving or your autopilot if you happen to have it. So you definitely want to check that. As you come to the top of the vehicle, make sure you check the glass roof because this piece of glass is really sturdy, but it can be damaged and it's quite expensive to fix when you do. So make sure there's no big gaps in there and make sure there are no cracks in the upper glass. Get a step stool if you need it, get up there, take a look. Make sure you don't have any crazy scratches up there. As you come back to the back door, you're going to do a lot of the same thing that you did on the front. You want to be able to check the fascia here. Make sure this is attached. So you want to be able to check the clips. Make sure they're fastened so that the fascia is not pulling off. You shouldn't have where the black fascia is loose at all. This should be tight. It should be tight all the way around. Once again, you see the back side profile of the vehicle here. You see how the panel gaps are pretty much even all the way around on this vehicle. That's the way it should be on yours. Once again, especially if you're buying a new vehicle. If it's not, say something, trust me. As you come around to the back of the vehicle, there's a couple of things we need to do back here. Once again, you'll notice we have another round circle back here. This round circle is once again for that tow bar that you have in the front that we saw before, and that's made for towing the vehicle. Now, for some of you out there, you're going to want to get on the ground for this one. I'm not going to pull it off, but I do want you to be able to see where it's at. If you come all the way down here, there's another panel. There are a couple of screws you just undo from underneath there. If you happen to have this panel here, be sure to undo it because if you're buying a used vehicle, you may have a tow hitch and you don't even know it. So it's worth taking off, taking a look. So you notice on this vehicle, we happen to have a rear spoiler. Now, many spoilers, especially on performance models, come from the factory with one from Tesla. This one, however, is an aftermarket add-on. So very many cars may have these. So make sure it's firmly attached when they do. The other thing is, even though it comes from Tesla, a lot of them tend to start delaminating if they've been sitting in the sun for a while. So you come back here to the rear camera. Now you notice I have 3 cameras. That's because I have, I don't actually have 3 cameras, it's really 2. One of them is for my rear view mirror, which is an aftermarket add-on. This is one of the ways you can tell. But the middle one is the most important, that one that you want to look for. That is your camera for your system in your car. Make sure it's clean, it's not cracked, no scratches, things of that nature. It should look nice. So come over here, take a look at the charge port, and on all Teslas, they're going to be in the exact same spot, right? And in order to open it, the easiest way to open it, if you have the key on you and the car's awake, make sure the car's not asleep, you can either go inside and press on the button on the touchscreen, or you can come out here and just tap on it. Charge port opens. Make sure that opens automatically. It should come open with no problem. You shouldn't have to force it at all. You take a look at the charge port in there, make sure all the pins are there and that the port is not damaged at all. Your charge port should look exactly like this one, no different. If it looks a little different, that's a little suspect. To close it, we just push down on it and it closes. So that's pretty much it as far as the bulk of the vehicle. Now I want to show you something that's kind of interesting on my vehicle. I'm going to come around to the front wheel well and I'm going to show you what it looks like from the factory, mind you, what happened from the factory like this. If you take a good look down here, right, you'll see that I am missing a couple pins that should be there. And you notice my rocker panel is actually hanging down. Now, believe it or not, I only just recently noticed that this vehicle did not have any pins installed on here. And this is a brand new vehicle from the factory that it came like this. This could be a real problem if you bought it used like this because they're not going to fix it in all likelihood. But now this rocker panel is actually going to be hanging down just a bit. So you want to make sure those pins are there and everything is firmly in place. So you just go around the vehicle, take a good look around. Okay? So that's pretty much it for the exterior of the vehicle. Now, let's go to the interior of the vehicle and take a good look around and we'll talk about some of the things in there. Okay, so here we are in the interior of the vehicle. Now, there's a few things that you want to look for in here. I know the most glaring thing right off the bat is going to be this big old interior screen that we have here in the middle. It's a great infotainment system. We're going to go over that in just a few minutes. Be sure to stick around and watch for it because there's some really important stuff that you need to take a look at. But for the moment, we're going to go through a few of the things that you need to look for on the rest of the interior. It's not a whole lot, but it's going to generally fall into a couple of categories. The number one thing is you want to be checking for loose panels. And Teslas are notorious, especially the older ones. They're notorious for loose panels because as people perform maintenance on the vehicles, they pull the panels off and they're only held in there by clips. And a lot of times they break these clips when they're putting them back in. In all fairness, these are only little plastic clips and they're very cheap and easy to replace. I highly recommend doing so yourself if you happen to get one of these vehicles. In the meantime, nobody likes loose trim and you should be able to get a little bit off the vehicle on negotiating price if you have loose trim. And believe me when I say it is actually really easy to change these clips out. All you need is a $15 set of trim tools, which will be in the description below, and get some clips, which you know, they really only cost a few cents a piece, but you can buy a bag of them for like $10. That, with a little bit of work, you can go ahead and change these clips out, and then these things will start fitting good as new. So I highly recommend that. The trim that is up here on the upper panel, you'll see some of that loose sometimes. Same deal. You just get some new clips, put that down in there, you're good to go. Door panels, same thing. So just make sure when you pull on things, everything fits. You're going to check the general seat conditions just like you do with any other vehicle. You're going to check the flooring with any vehicle. You'll see in this one, I happen to have rubberized mats. So if you happen to have carpeting, that's okay. I like the rubberized mats much better. So if you have some messed up carpeting in your vehicle, just get the rubberized mats. It'll work out much better for you. Now, even if you're buying a new vehicle, because this was a brand new vehicle, right? You will still have imperfections. And one of the things I'll draw your attention to is like this piece right here. It came from the factory like that. So those are the kind of things you really want to look at. You want to make sure it's working, all the stitching, everything else. So make sure, even though you buy a new vehicle, that you actually check out the little different nooks and crannies of the vehicle. Now, also make sure you go around checking all the door locks, all the latches, the seat reclining options that you may have. Try all of them out because they may or may not be working. Now, having said that, the windows are actually really important. Make sure that when you do your test drive, that you listen to the wind noise in the vehicle, because if the windows are not seated right, or if there's some trim that's not seated right, you're going to notice if you actually start listening, paying attention. I guarantee you about 2 months after you get the vehicle, you're going to notice it's a little bit louder than what it should be. And it's because of that trim that's loose on the windows, okay? So make sure you actually bring that to their attention if you go on your test drive. Okay, so here we are at the infotainment screen in the Tesla Model Y. Most Teslas are going to have pretty much an identical screen of some sort. Things may be a little bit out of position. Some things may be in position, other things may not be, but in general, this is the way that it's going to be. So what are some of the things that you're going to want to look for? Well, I'm going to show you some of the most critical things to look for. When you step into the vehicle, there's a little car icon down here in the lower left-hand corner. Press that icon, and you're going to get a menu system. In this, you're going to see a lot of different options here, but we're only going to concentrate on a couple of them that we really need to focus in on, okay? Remember when I told you about the mirrors? It defaults to this control menu here. You can unfold the mirrors just by pressing this button right there. And I'm going to hit remove location because I don't want it to remember the location. That's the only thing there. So that's all you have to worry about there. This is just to set the controls and all of that. All right, so we want to come down to the software section here, and you want to look over on this screen. Now, this is actually really important because this is actually what's going to tell you what is in the vehicle, okay? Okay, so let's start at the top of this screen. We're going to talk about the Model Y logo that's at the top. That tells you what type of vehicle that you're in to begin with, whether it be a Model Y, a Model 3, Model X, Model S, it's going to say it up there. But right below that, you have a logo. It's going to say rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. In this case, it has a banner for the Launch Series Y, which lets me know this is a Launch Series vehicle. It does not matter what it says on the paperwork that the dealer gives you. What matters is what's on that screen. And that screen will tell you exactly what you have. So be sure to pay attention to it and take note of it, because if there's a mismatch, go with what's on the screen. And if you got a better deal, be quiet and walk out the door. No, I didn't say that. The next thing down, aside from the VIN number, you can see the actual VIN number on the vehicle. You can run it through Carfax or anything of that nature, standard vehicle checks. So on the next line down, you have the Autopilot computer. And next to it, it says full self-driving 4 on this particular vehicle. If you have hardware 3, then it's going to say full self-driving computer, hardware, computer 3. There's a difference between the two. The hardware 3s are going to go for less money than the hardware 4s in general. That's just the way it's going to be. So it's possible you had a Model Y that's in the same year, particularly 2023. Some are going to be hardware 3s, others going to be hardware 4. And if you're getting a hardware 3, you should pay significantly less money for that vehicle because it doesn't have all the capability of what a hardware 4 vehicle would be. They should not be the same price. Make no mistake about it. That may be corrected further on down the line, but that's the way it is right now, just so that you know. So pay attention to which hardware version you have. Below that, we have full self-driving capability, which is on the screen. If the vehicle has full self-driving with the vehicle, you will see this notation on there. Once again, do not pay attention to the notes that are on the paperwork that you're being given. What is on the screen is what you actually have, okay? So there's no debate here. If they say you have full self-driving, it doesn't show up on the screen, then you don't have it. The exact opposite is true too. So if it doesn't say it has full self-driving, but it says full self-driving included package, then you have it. What's happening is that many Teslas, you can buy the full package on the Tesla. You pay $8,000 right up front, and you get full self-driving, and it stays with the vehicle unless the owner has transferred the full self-driving from that vehicle to another vehicle. You're not going to know unless you look at the screen. So when the vehicle arrived, it may have had full self-driving when they turned it in, and at some point they could have transferred that full self-driving off to another vehicle. And if that happens and they're telling you you have it, you may not really have it. So you really want to pay attention. The other one that's right below full self-driving capability, it says acceleration boost. On several vehicles, and specifically this one, you can purchase acceleration boost for $2,500. It stays with the vehicle. Not all Teslas have it available. Some people have bought it and it's going to stay with the vehicle, and they've resold the vehicle. So that's why you will see that option on the vehicle. This happens to be a Launch Series, so it just came with it. That's just the way it is. But not all vehicles will have it. Once again, know that it's $2,500. So if you see it there and they didn't mention it in the notes, well, then you got a $2,500 perk, truth be told. Right below there, you have premium connectivity. Premium connectivity is the internet in the vehicle. It's basically a cell phone, a mobile cell phone for the vehicle, and it connects to the mobile cell phone towers as you're rolling along. So the car is continually connected to the internet if it is active. Here we have premium connectivity, and it says auto renewal June 10, 2026. I paid for it on a yearly basis. You can pay for it on a monthly basis. It's usually $10 a month, or you can pay for it on a yearly basis. I highly recommend paying for it on a yearly basis, because if you don't do it, all you will have is traffic on the maps. That's all you're going to have. It will do that. But if you want your music streaming, you won't have that. You won't have Grok. In case you don't know what Grok is, we have Grok in vehicles. Like, hey, Grok, who are you?
Hey, I'm Era, your helpful AI sidekick. Think of me as the voice in your rocket ship, ready to blast off with answers or whatever you need. What's on your mind?
So that's the in-car AI. Her name's Era, but it's really Grok. So you have that available in the vehicle. And without the premium connectivity, or at least some type of an internet connection, you cannot have that in your vehicle. And it will set destinations. So let me do something like this, just to give you an example of what it was. Hey, Era, I really want to go to a great Chinese restaurant that's in Smyrna, Georgia, but along the way, I need you to pick out someplace where I can get some tools from. You think you can find some spots for me?
Michiru Asian Cuisine on South Cobb Drive in Smyrna gets great reviews for authentic Chinese food, about 9 miles away. Want me to set navigation there, or check another like Peking Garden?
Yes, go ahead and set navigation.
Navigation set to Michiru Asian Cuisine in Smyrna, about 15 miles away, 30 minutes. You're on the way.
Okay, what about the hardware store?
Vickery Ace Hardware on Concord Road in Smyrna is a top-rated spot for tools, 11 miles from here with a 21-minute detour. Added as a stop on the way to Michiru?
Yes.
Route updated. First to Vickery Ace Hardware in Smyrna for tools, then Michiru Asian Cuisine. Total 17 miles and 40 minutes. All set.
And there you go. That's what Grok does for you. Along with, you can ask it just like any other chat bot that you have, whether it be ChatGPT, Google Gemini, same thing. You chat with Grok, you can have a full conversation with them in the car. So that's one of the benefits to having premium connectivity. And it's available in most of all the Teslas that I believe. And you can try it out. You can try it out just by pressing and holding the microphone button, and Grok will pop up. You can also use the internet hotspot on your phone to connect the car. The car will connect to your Wi-Fi hotspot and utilize its data in case you don't want to pay for premium connectivity. So you've got that option as well. The easy button is just pay for it and buy it on a yearly basis. Some vehicles do come with it already with the vehicle, just like every other option here. A few vehicles come with premium connectivity with the vehicle for life, just like this one. This one doesn't do it, but just like some of the other options. So that's the premium connectivity feature. Right below the spot where it says Autopilot computer, there's a blue link there that says additional vehicle information. And in this additional vehicle information, there's some significant stuff that's here. It says things like audio system premium, Autopilot computer, once again, tell you what kind of autopilot you have. Tells you if the CCS and third-party NACS DC charging is enabled. That's basically the charging on the vehicle that is enabled on the car. NACS is the type of port that you have versus CCS. That's a different standard. Cabin heater, heat pump, tells you what kind of heating you have. They have the cell IMEI. That's for the cellular service. You don't really have to worry about that. Garage door opener. Now, this one is a bit of a tricky one. Teslas do not have traditional garage door and openers that you're used to, where you push an actual button on the ceiling and it opens. That's not the way it works. Usually it's some version of MyQ. It's a software thing, and it interacts with the internet at your home and opens your door that way. There are various things you're going to have to use to make it to get it to work if you don't already have one of these systems. On top of that, you have the infotainment processor. In here, we have an AMD Ryzen. On the older vehicles, it's an Intel. Is it important? not too important right off the bat, but just know that there is a difference, and some of the older vehicles have trouble running some of the software when you have the older Intel vehicles. The next line says low voltage battery type. You have two types of batteries in this vehicle. You have a high voltage battery and you have a low voltage battery. The high voltage battery is just as it sounds. That's a big battery that's on the floor of the vehicle, and that one provides the power to the car. But as we will talk about in another video, you have a low voltage battery. And with that low voltage battery, it actually runs your computer systems and things of that nature. And it's actually under the hood of your vehicle. It tells you what type of low voltage battery you have. In this case, we have a lithium ion. The modem capabilities, it says 2G, 3G, and 4G. Mostly you're going to be 4G connected. There are some 5Gs that are going to be coming out here in the next year. The motor type front, this one says induction. That's not too important to know. Motor type rear, permanent magnet. That's just to generally know what it is. Tow capability, available. That means this vehicle is capable of towing. That's all it means. Then the last one is the Wi-Fi MAC address. Don't worry about it. That's not necessary to remember. I want to look at the Autopilot menu real fast. And the reason why we want to look at the Autopilot menu real fast is because all of this is getting ready to change. And what you're going to see up here, you notice I have full self-driving supervised selected. But we have two other options. We have traffic aware cruise control and Autosteer beta. Now, to give you an idea of the differences between the two, traffic aware cruise control is the traditional cruise control that you're used to, where it keeps your speed out on the highway, but it keeps you a certain distance behind the vehicle in front of you, and you can adjust the vehicle distance as you roll along. It doesn't do lane centering, it doesn't do lane keeping, anything of that nature. It's only cruise control. The next option over is Autosteer beta. Now what Autosteer does, it actually steers the vehicle for you out on the highway, where it's able to basically lane keeping. It's a lane assist. So it'll stay in the lane. It'll keep you from running into the other cars in theory. But it's a much older system, and it's a lot less capable than what full self-driving is. Now, why do I even bring this up? The reason being because as of a few days ago, I believe, Tesla has announced that on all new vehicles, they will not have Autosteer beta. That will not be there. So the only things you are left to choose from are traffic aware cruise control or full self-driving. And as we cover full self-driving, you have to pay $99 a month for, or I forget what it is on a yearly basis. They give you like a 10% discount if you buy it on a yearly. But otherwise, it's $99 a month to subscribe to full self-driving if it does not already come with the vehicle. That's also important because as of the taping of this video, in the next few days, you won't be able to buy full self-driving with the vehicle anymore, so it won't even be an option. Everything will be subscription. So if you happen to find a hardware 4 vehicle that has full self-driving with it, it's actually going to be worth a little bit more money if opposed to you having to subscribe every single month. So if you see one in here with full self-driving included, you might want to snap that one up. Just a word of advice. The next option I want you to go down to is service. Now, in the service menu here, it's going to tell you a few different things. It's going to tell you to recommend the tire pressure, tire service mileage. What that tire service mileage really is the last time that the tires were either changed or rotated. They should reset that every single time they do that. That tells you the last time it was done. In general, you should rotate your tires in a Tesla every 6,250 miles, and when you do, you should hit that reset button. It'll show you the tire pressures. It'll show you the tire pressures that you should have in the vehicle. More importantly, though, you should come down to camera preview, and where it is on camera preview, you're going to press that button, and what you're going to be able to do is be able to see all of the cameras. And you can scroll through each one of the cameras, tapping on the screen to see what your cameras are seeing, and each one of them should be clear. They should be nice, clean, clear, shouldn't be any scratches. You should be able to see the picture in that camera just fine. If not, you need to get them to clean those cameras, okay? Especially the front one, and that's a whole other video that we've produced. So the next menu item you want to go into here is the maintenance menu. Tap on that maintenance button, and you're going to get a few things you're going to see. In my case, I have tire rotation is overdue because I did it 9,000 miles ago. I haven't rotated tires. But then again, I inspected my tires to make sure I don't have any uneven wear. Cabin filter, air filter replacement. It tells you when the last time that was done, when the next time you should do it. It's actually pretty simple. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you go through this menu here. If your car happens to have a HEPA filter, in which case you have bioweapon defense mode. Basically, you're getting rid of all the little small air particulates out of the air. It's actually a really good mode for people that have allergies, things of that nature. It'll tell you the last time that was replaced or when you need to replace the next one. Wiper blades, radiator cleaning as needed, wheel alignment check, windshield area precise cleaning as needed. So it just gives you a real quick overview to show you some of the routine maintenance. As you notice, there's not much here because, quite frankly, there's not a lot to do on a Tesla. This is pretty much it. You follow this guide, you're okay, all right? Lastly, but definitely not least, we need to go to a very special mode. Now, this is going to unnerve a few of you folks. I promise you, if you follow my instructions, you will be okay. Also, if you want a more in-depth guide, you can go to my other video where I show you how to enter service mode. Now, why do we want to go into service mode? This is especially important if you are buying a used vehicle, okay? You don't have to take the dealer's word for it. The car will tell you what's wrong with itself. And there's nothing the dealer can do about it, truth be told. If they buy Service Mode Plus, they can cancel a few of the alerts. That's about all they can do. But if there's something actively wrong with the vehicle, it's going to show up here. And if they say, no, 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 don't ever go into that mode, walk away. I'm being serious. You're not doing any harm by going into the mode, looking around at the alerts, and seeing what's wrong with the vehicle. That means they're trying to hide something. So go into this mode, look at the vehicle, and take a look. So in order to get into this mode, we have to, ironically enough, go into software menu, not service, software. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to press on the software button. Once again, remember where we saw that Model Y logo before, where in your case it may be Model 3, Model X, whatever it happens to be. All the Teslas are exactly the same. You're going to put your finger on there, press and hold for a few seconds, and you're going to see a little flash. You'll see it flash real fast. Let your finger up. You're going to see where it says, please enter access code. And the access code is going to be service, all in lowercase, SERVICE. And what that's going to do, that's going to bring up another window that says caution, improper use of service mode will result in loss of vehicle operation. Yeah, we know that. Hit enter. What you should see is a new screen that pops up with a red border around it. This is now known as service mode, okay? This is where the car is going to alert you to anything that's wrong with it. And in my case, I have a couple of service alerts that are active. You're going to have some alerts that pop up on the screen. When these alerts pop up, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something really bad with the car. If it just says recent alerts, it might give you some history to say, hey, these things were going on. But quite frankly, a lot of things may have happened. The battery may have reset, they may have changed out the battery, things of that nature. So just give me a history of what happened. What you're more concerned about are the active alerts, because that means the car is detecting something wrong with one of the systems that's on board. And that's what you want to be concerned about. If there's anything listed there, then you need to start taking a deeper dive with a mechanic that knows what he's doing. And you can look it up, and you can ask Grok too. Grok will tell you what's going on. But in this case, I have a couple of service alerts here for SEM. That's a steering control module faulted. And a lot of that is, I can feel the steering wheel. It's real tight. So that's probably because I've sat here with the doors open and everything else. The VC front MIA, that has a lot to do with the fact that this vehicle's been sitting here for a minute. That'll probably clear up the moment I start the car back up. But you'll see I have a pretty long list of recent alerts for a variety of different reasons. And if you go into the service mode, you'll see a lot of different things in here. If anything pops up there that's kind of fishy, you can always go back to the main menu by hitting the little red wrench. And you can go into the different sections of the systems. Like if it's the HVAC system, you can press the thermal button, and it'll take you to the coolant system. You can see if there are anything wrong with that. You can see the different animations that are going on. And if somebody really knows what they're doing, they can really tell you what's wrong with the vehicle. So that's really what you really want to look for when you're taking a look at a Tesla. And all the Teslas are pretty much the exact same way. I highly recommend doing this. Exit service mode, you press the red wrench, it takes you back to the main menu. Press and hold the red exit button, and that takes you out of service mode. Now you can give the dealer back his car just the way you found it. So there you go. We went through the entire vehicle. We looked at all the different spots in the vehicle. And like I said, there's a lot of money to be made or given away if you choose the wrong options. So be sure to go through the infotainment especially and to see what kind of vehicle you're actually getting. Now, on top of all of this, we plug the VIN number into Tesla's website. It'll tell you what kind of car you're getting. It'll tell you exactly what's in the vehicle. Check your trade-in values on this particular vehicle. A lot of times the trade-in values are going to come in a lot lower than what you would hope, truth be told. But right now you can pick up a Model 3 or Model Y for about $18,000, somewhere in that neighborhood. They have about 50,000 miles on it, somewhere in that neighborhood. If they're asking for something outside of their range, you might just want to walk away. Now, in terms of the hardware 3, hardware 4 thing that we alluded to before, like I said, that's really important. I mean, that's thousands of dollars for real. And if you run into a dealer that either does not understand this, you might be able to make out, truth be told, or if it's a private seller. Conversely, if you're a private seller trying to sell it, know what you have. If you have full self-driving, that's a hardware 4 vehicle purchased with the vehicle, you're sitting on a lot more money than you think. And while it's not readily apparent in the market yet, it will be very soon as these vehicles start to go unsupervised with full self-driving. So be sure to pay attention as time goes forward. Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to look in the description below to see how you can get a great discount on a brand new Tesla, up to $1,000 off. Use our referral code, like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.